The deal was signed at 9:47 a.m., the largest contract in the firm's history, $55 million over 4 years. I had the champagne cork still in my jacket pocket when they called me in. Boardroom, frosted glass, everyone pretending to be too busy to look up. Adam Whitaker, our CEO, didn't even pretend. He just stared at the city skyline, hands folded like a priest. "Nathan," he said, not turning, "we're moving in a new direction." I blinked. "You mean post-signing?" He finally turned and slid a slim folder across the table. "Effective immediately." The termination letter had my name spelled wrong. They didn't even copy-paste it right. I stared at it for a second too long. "This is a mistake," I said calmly. Adam's voice didn't change. "You've done excellent work, but your style doesn't align with our executive vision. We need someone who fits the image." Next to him, I saw Trevor Langley, the kid I mentored, the one who once asked me what an RFP was. He adjusted his tie twice in 10 seconds. "Trevor will be taking over the Caster Systems account," Adam continued. "He has the presence we need." "Presence," I repeated. My jaw clicked. No shouting, no arguing, just pressure. I smiled, nodded once, and stood. "Good luck with that," I said, and walked out without looking back. What they didn't know was that 5 days earlier, I'd sat across from Margot Stanton, founder of Caster, the sharpest mind in supply tech, and she told me one thing that would break them. "Nathan," she'd said, "this contract lives or dies with you." I don't trust firms, I trust people. I built this company with my hands. I want someone else who has. I told her I ran logistics for 11 years before business school. I've packed pallets. I've lost sleep rerouting freight through ice storms. She smiled. "Then we're aligned." That handshake wasn't just legal, it was personal. And they had no idea. The board thought the brand was enough, that a suit with good hair and a Vanderbilt MBA could walk in and inherit the trust I spent months building. They saw my blue-collar roots as baggage. I saw them as armor. 3 days before the signing, I heard Trevor in the kitchen. He didn't see me. "Nathan's solid," he told someone, "but he's not exactly boardroom polish. Caster's a huge win. We can't let that guy walk in there with his everyman vibe. It's not scalable." I clenched my jaw. That vibe had secured 6 plant visits, 5 executive calls, and 1 miracle timeline that saved them $1.4 million in rollout costs. Trevor had never even spoken to Margot. The firm cared more about optics than results. The day I was fired, I wasn't angry. I was focused. I got into my truck, yes, truck, and drove home. That night, I got a message from Margot. "Looking forward to kickoff Monday. Everything's in place." I smiled. She didn't know I was gone. They hadn't told her. Of course not. They planned to show up Monday, pop champagne, and pretend nothing changed. Except it had. Everything had. They fired the person she trusted, and they had no idea she wouldn't tolerate that. I didn't warn her. I didn't try to fix it. I just waited, because some lessons hit harder when you feel the impact yourself. On Sunday, I grilled dinner alone. Cheap steak, rooftop patio, skyline humming. I imagined the scene the next morning. Margot walking into that room, Trevor trying to shake her hand, the forced smiles, then her voice probably cold as ice. "Where's Nathan?" And the panic that would follow. Because I knew Margot. I'd watched her cut suppliers for being 5 minutes late. She didn't bluff. She didn't backtrack. At 9:59 a.m. Monday, I was on my couch. Black coffee, laptop open, phone silenced, and waiting. At 10:03 a.m., my phone started vibrating. One call, then another, then 4 in a row. Unknown numbers, firm numbers, one from Trevor directly. I let them buzz in silence. I already knew what was happening. I could see the scene without being there. Margot standing at the head of the table, arms crossed, voice flat. Nathan Blake was the deal, not the firm. No Nathan, no contract. And then silence. Trevor panicking, probably reaching for the tablet I'd prepped. Except it meant nothing, because I was the asset, not the PowerPoint. By 10:12 a.m., Adam called. I didn't pick up. 10:14, text from an old friend in legal. They didn't tell her. She walked out mid-meeting. She's not picking up. Trevor's pale as chalk. I smiled. By 10:30, the news was already rippling through the firm. I checked Slack from an alt account. Panic. Clients gone cold. What happened in the meeting? Why is Margot unreachable? Did we lose Castor? I closed the tab. Let them guess. Let them sweat. I had nothing to prove. That afternoon, I got a text from someone I hadn't spoken to in months. Erica Cho, former ops lead, now quietly working compliance. They're looking for someone to blame. They're saying you sabotaged it. I laughed. I left quietly, and I replied, they pulled the trigger. I just let the consequences run their course. She replied with a single emoji. Fire. The next morning, Trevor tried emailing Margot. She didn't reply. He sent a second one, CC'd Adam. Then the call log started. 18 missed attempts in one day. Margot wasn't ghosting. She was erasing. On Wednesday, Adam tried calling me again. I answered this time. His voice was raw, like someone who hadn't slept. Nathan, listen. I think we may have mishandled some internal communication. Margot's being difficult. No, I said. She's being honest. He paused. She said the contract is void unless you're reinstated. She refuses to even talk to Trevor. I leaned back in my chair. That sounds like a you problem. Nathan, be reasonable. We're willing to bring you back. Same title, same comp, even a bonus. It was a misunderstanding. You said I didn't fit the image, I replied. What changed? He sighed. We were wrong. I stayed silent. Let it hang. Please, can we talk? I hung up. That evening, I got another text from Erica. You're a legend right now. You just sank their flagship before lunch. I thought about it for a while, sat on my balcony, looked over the skyline. There was power in quiet exits, in letting the story tell itself. If you're into stories like this, revenge, betrayal, boardroom reckoning, subscribe for more. I've got plenty. And the next one's even worse. The following day, Margot called me directly. First time since the deal went live. They called me 10 times in 2 hours, she said. Offered new terms. Said they'd promote Trevor to VP, restructure around him. I didn't say anything. You know what I told them? She asked. I said I don't buy from cowards. I buy from builders. I exhaled. So what now? Now? She paused. I still need execution, and I don't want to go back to shopping vendors. Then what do you want? I want to build something. With you. Not under their roof. That stopped me. You serious? I've got capital. I've got clients. I don't have the person I trust to deliver. But I do now. You're talking about a company. I'm talking about a war, she said, and I want to win. I didn't need time to consider. What's the plan? Meet me tomorrow, she said. I'll show you everything. That night I didn't sleep. Not from anxiety, from focus, from clarity. Because the empire wasn't just crumbling, it was already on fire. And I had the matchbox. The warehouse was cold. Stripped floors, bare rafters, steel beams groaning with winter wind. It was perfect. Margot stood in the center with 2 laptops open, a projector humming, and blueprints spread like battle maps. This is the shell, she said. We rent it for 6 months, buy it if we survive. I've already pulled 3 engineers from my previous vendors. You bring the rest. I walked the perimeter. No marble, no logos, just space, possibility. What's the name? I asked. Vector Logistics, she said. Clean, sharp, abstract enough for scale. I nodded. I've got 6 people in mind. All real, all underestimated. She looked at me and smiled. The ones they pushed out? The ones they ignored, I said. That night I sent 5 messages. No job descriptions, no fluff, just one line. You in? All 5 replied within the hour. The first walked into the warehouse at 8:03 a.m. Friday. Marcus, an infrastructure prodigy who once rebuilt a whole routing stack while the rest of us were still debating what broke. Next was Leah, fired last year for cultural misalignment, which meant she asked too many questions. Then Deshaun from supply chain ops, who had once saved a $12 million client by rerouting freight in the middle of a hurricane. And finally, Emma, an onboarding specialist who never got promoted because she didn't play golf with execs. She brought donuts. We building something dangerous? she asked. We're building something better, I said. The war began that Monday. We didn't announce anything. No press, no launches, just quiet whispers. Vector started bidding, undercutting, delivering. We signed our first contract, $4.2 million, with a distributor Prescott had ghosted for months. 2 weeks later, a $9 million retail chain asked for a proposal. Then $16 million from a pharma supplier who remembered my name. Word was spreading. There's a new player who gives a damn. Meanwhile, Prescott was unraveling. A friend still in IT sent me an internal memo. Client attrition spikes 42%. Leadership reviewing strategic comms. I laughed. No comms would save them. The message was simple. Results matter. The press caught on in week 4. Former exec resurfaces as founder of fast-growing Vector. I didn't give quotes. I didn't want attention. I wanted blood. Trevor tried posting on LinkedIn. Something about leading next-gen transformation. Comments were brutal. One user wrote, "That transformation lost $55 million in 5 days." I didn't reply. I didn't need to. Every week another account flipped. Clients I'd never met, vendors who had worked with my team before, even suppliers who'd sworn loyalty to Prescott sent RFPs. Loyalty doesn't survive incompetence. I met Margot every Thursday at a bar off 18th Street. No suits, no buzzwords, just whiskey and strategy. "They've got 6 months," she said once. "Maybe less if the board panics." "They will," I said. "They always do." And then came the big one. Halverson Freight, a legacy client worth $48 million. Risk-averse, steady, loyal, until they weren't. A logistics lead I'd worked with 2 years prior called me. "Things aren't working. Service is lagging. They demoted your replacement. We're open to talking." "What changed?" I asked. "They stopped listening," he said, "and we still remember how you handled December back in 2022. I didn't have to pitch, just had to show up. 1 week later, Halverson canceled Prescott's contract, gave the work to us. The ripple effect was immediate. 3 vendors followed suit. Prescott's revenue projections slipped by 17%. A recruiter messaged me anonymously. "They're leaking staff. Board's calling it an operational exodus." I called Marcus. "How fast can we scale?" He laughed. "Fast enough to bury them?" I brought in another 5 team members, all builders, all people the old firm never promoted. Our first full team, all hands, was in that warehouse. No titles, no blazers, just laptops, coffee, and a whiteboard stained with grit. I stood in the center. "They fired us because we didn't look the part," I said. "They'll regret that." The room buzzed. That night I updated my LinkedIn. Co-founder, Vector Logistics. Within hours, 2 journalists reached out. I ignored them. The message was already spreading. We weren't a rebellion, we were a replacement. The next day, Prescott's board sent an email to investors. "We're confident in our long-term strategy." It leaked. Everyone laughed. The numbers didn't lie. $87 million gone in 1 quarter. 31 clients flipped. I got a text from Trevor at midnight. "Why are you doing this?" I stared at the screen, then typed, "Because you tried to steal what I built." And failed. No reply. Just red and silence. By month 4, Prescott was a carcass. The stock had dropped 32%. Their internal decks leaked. Graphs bleeding red ink, headers like client retention crisis and brand integrity recovery strategy. But you can't recover trust once you break it in public. Not when your flagship clients are live tweeting how they moved on. Halverson posted a photo of their first Vector shipment with the caption, "Fast, reliable, personal." It went viral. One exec commented, "Didn't realize logistics could feel this human." I didn't respond. Didn't need to. The numbers spoke louder. Margot and I flew to Chicago to finalize a contract with TriPath Systems, a $30 million integration account Prescott had chased for 2 years. We signed it in 18 minutes. No pitch, no demo. Just, "We want to work with people who do the work." On the flight back, Margot leaned her head back and whispered, "You realize we've taken 5 of their 10 top-tier clients, right?" I nodded. "They know it too." The next morning, I got an email from a name I hadn't seen in months. Julia Ellis, Prescott's interim CEO. Subject line, proposal. I opened it. Inside, a formal offer to acquire Vector. 7 figures. With an optional clause for me to return as EVP of strategy. I forwarded it to Margot. She called me laughing. They're drowning and they want to buy the lifeboat. Should we answer? No, she said. Just keep going. The next day, the press exploded. Tech Review ran the headline. Fired exec builds rival empire in 120 days. Prescott spirals. I didn't comment. The story was writing itself. If you're still watching and you live for revenge, betrayal, and corporate collapse, subscribe. Vector isn't done yet. That week, we started poaching their staff. Not directly. Just posted roles. Let the ones they stepped on come to us. Engineers, ops leads, even sales reps. They came quiet, humble, hungry. One interview started with, "I know I'm not from the Ivy schools, but I get results." I smiled. That's exactly what we want. We reached 47 team members by month 5. Margot built our advisory board. I handled operations. Leah ran onboarding. Emma designed client pipelines. We were fast, lean, untouchable. Then came the final hit, Meridian Tech. Prescott's last true anchor, $70 million annual. Conservative, slow to switch, but furious about the Castor fallout. I got a call from their CIO. "We want to see your model," he said. "We're not promising anything. Just tired of apologies and executive excuses." I met him in a bare glass room, same as where I got fired. But this time I was on the other side. I showed him numbers, timelines, systems, and people. Then I said, "You won't get polish. You'll get results. That's our offer." He shook my hand. "You'll hear from us Monday." Friday afternoon, Julia emailed again. "Please reconsider the offer. We're willing to discuss terms." I ignored it. Monday morning, 10 a.m., my phone buzzed. "Meridian's board has voted. You're in." I closed my eyes, exhaled. That was it. The last pillar. Gone. By noon, TechCrunch posted, "Prescott loses final anchor client. Sources say layoffs imminent." I opened my messages. Trevor had gone dark. Adam was nowhere in the news. Julia posted a vague quote about strategic transformation. I posted one line, "The work speaks for itself." By end of week, Vector hit $180 million in contracts, 6 major clients onboarded. Our warehouse was buzzing like a war room. Whiteboards streaked with ink, coffee cups everywhere, and in the middle of it, a photo I hung up on the wall, me in a dusty work vest, back when I was running trucks myself. Below it, my termination letter. I kept it framed, a reminder. They didn't just fire me, they misjudged me. They thought polish would win over trust. That image was more valuable than substance. But they forgot what the client already knew. Execution beats pedigree, grit beats gloss, and real always wins. 1 year to the day after I got fired, I stood on a rooftop with Margot, looking over the city. Below us, the firm that let me go was crumbling. Job cuts, board shakeups, investor exits. A journalist texted me, "Any comment on Prescott's collapse?" I wrote back one sentence. They hired an image. I built a legacy. She posted it as the headline. 2 days later, Julia called again. "Please, Nathan, let's talk," I answered. Let her speak for 90 seconds. Then I said, "You're done here, Julia. I hope you rehearsed, because in 10 minutes, it'll all fall apart." Then I hung up. The empire didn't just fall, it imploded. Because revenge isn't always fire. Sometimes it's clean, surgical, precise. Sometimes it's just a better offer on the right day. And everything they built was gone in 10 minutes.